The lucky winner and the unexpected prize. Jack Carter never won anything in his life. He was just an ordinary guy, working as a mechanic in a small repair shop on Earth. His life was simple: fixing old engines, drinking cheap coffee, and dreaming about flying among the stars. He loved spaceships, but he could never afford one. Even renting a cheap shuttle was too expensive. Then, one day, everything changed. Jack received a message on his old, beaten-up communicator. It was from Galactic Mega Lottery. Congratulations, Jack Carter. You are the grand prize winner. You now own a state-of-the-art GX-9000 spaceship. Claim your prize at Orion Spaceport. Jack stared at the message, his hands shaking. This had to be a joke. He never even entered a lottery. But when he checked the sender, it was real. His heart pounded. A spaceship. His own spaceship. Without wasting time, he quit his job, packed his things, and took the fastest shuttle to Orion Spaceport. The moment he arrived, Jack felt like he was dreaming. Huge spaceships hovered above, engines humming softly. Traders, bounty hunters, and alien merchants filled the place, talking in strange languages. The smell of exotic food and machine oil filled the air. He walked to the prize claim center, still unsure if this was really happening. Name? Asked a bored-looking robot at the counter. Jack Carter, he said. The robot's eyes scanned him. A moment later, it beeped. Confirmed. Your ship is ready. Hangar 42. Jack's stomach flipped. He was actually getting a spaceship. He almost ran to Hangar 42, excitement building inside him. When he arrived, his breath caught in his throat. It was beautiful. The GX-9000 was sleek, black, and powerful. Its hull was made of titanium alloy, smooth and polished. The engines looked powerful enough to cross the galaxy. It was the kind of ship only rich explorers or bounty hunters owned. Jack stepped inside, his boots echoing on the metal floor. The ship's control panels lit up as soon as he entered. A soft voice spoke. "Welcome, Captain." Initializing system. Jack grinned. This was it. His new life. He would explore the stars. But then, something unexpected happened. A hidden compartment at the back of the ship suddenly hissed open. Cold mist poured out, filling the air with a strange scent. Jack froze. Inside the compartment was a stasis pod, and inside the pod was a woman. His heart nearly stopped. She had long silver hair that shimmered under the lights. Her skin was pale blue, glowing softly. Her face was sharp and elegant, with high cheekbones and full lips. She wore strange armor, black and gold, like something a warrior would wear. Then, the ship's eye spoke again. "Congratulations, Captain. As per galactic law, your ship includes a bonded mate." Jack blinked. Oh, what? The stasis pod made a soft peep, and then her eyes snapped open. Bright golden eyes locked onto Jack, sharp and full of danger. The woman moved fast. She stepped out of the pod, her muscles tense, her posture like a fighter ready to strike. Jack stumbled backward, his hands up. "Whoa, easy. I don't even know what's happening." The woman's eyes narrowed. Her voice was calm but deadly. "Who are you?" Jack swallowed hard. I'm Jack. I won this ship in a lottery." Her golden eyes flashed with anger. "This is my ship." Jack felt his stomach drop. "Wait. What?" Before she could answer, the ship's AI interrupted. "Error detected. Subject Lyra Velthera is now awake. Bonding contract remains active. Warning. Subject is classified as high risk." Jack stared at the AI screen. High risk? What did that mean? He turned back to the woman. Lyra. She was still staring at him, her expression unreadable. Jack forced a nervous smile. "Okay, look. I think there's been a mistake. I just won this ship. I didn't sign up for whatever this bonding thing is." Lyra's lips curled into a dangerous smirk. Then I suggest you prepare for trouble, human, because whoever gave you this ship just made you my enemy." Jack's stomach twisted. This was not how he expected his adventure to start. And then, before he could even process what was happening, the ship's alarm blared. "Warning. Incoming threat detected. Unidentified ships approaching." Jack's heart pounded. Lyra's eyes sharpened. She grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the cockpit. "You want to own this ship, human? Then you'd better learn how to fight for it." Jack had no idea what he had just gotten himself into. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. The alien bride and the first conflict. Jack Carter had a simple dream: own a spaceship and explore the stars. Now he had a spaceship, but along with it, he had something else. An angry alien warrior woman claiming it belonged to her. And worse, he had no idea what a bonded mate even meant. A dangerous awakening. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, gripping the armrests tightly. His heart was still racing from the shock. He stole a glance at the woman standing near the stasis pod. She was tall, strong, and furious. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light of the ship's interior. The silver strands of her hair shimmered like liquid metal, cascading down to her shoulders. She wore sleek black armor with golden engravings, a strange high-tech material that looked both flexible and unbreakable. Jack swallowed. He had to say something. "So, of Lyra, right?" he asked, forcing a nervous smile. She didn't respond. She was too busy examining the ship's controls, her sharp fingers gliding across the console with practiced ease. Jack rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I don't know what's going on. I won this ship in a lottery I never signed up for." Lyra's eyes snapped to him. "A lottery," she repeated, her voice sharp. "You expect me to believe my ship, my legacy, was given away in some pathetic human game?" Jack raised his hands defensively. "Hey, I don't make the rules. All I know is, one day I'm fixing engines on Earth, and the next, I get a message saying this beauty is mine. I had no clue there was." He gestured toward her, a person included in the deal. Lyra's expression darkened. "A bonded mate is not a person you include in a deal," she spat. Jack frowned. "Okay, then what does it mean?" Lyra took a step forward, crossing her arms. "It means," she said slowly, "that due to an ancient Veltheran law, the rightful owner of this ship is legally bound to its captain. That means, for all intents and purposes," she narrowed her golden eyes, "I am now your responsibility." Jack felt his stomach drop. "Wait, are you saying you're my—" Lyra's glare sharpened. "Say wife, and I'll rip your throat out." Jack clamped his mouth shut. She turned back to the ship's console, typing rapidly on the holographic interface. "This must be a mistake. The ship's records should prove I'm still the true owner." The AI beeped. "Ownership verification complete. Registered captain, Jack Carter." Lyra froze. Jack grinned. "Well, looks like the ship agrees with me." Lyra's hands clenched into fists. "That cannot be. This ship was never meant to be sold." The AI responded again. "Correction. The ship was forfeited due to captain's status as missing, presumed dead. Galactic trade laws allowed ownership transfer through a legal lottery." Jack blinked. "Wait, what? Presumed dead?" Lyra took a step back, as if the words had physically struck her. "I was betrayed," she whispered, realization sinking in. "My enemies must have orchestrated this. They sold my ship, erased my records, and ensured I would never wake up." She turned to Jack, her anger shifting into something more dangerous, cold determination. "If this is true, it means that whoever did this is still out there. And if they find out I'm alive—" Before she could finish her sentence, "BEEP, VEE, BEP." The ship's alarm blared, cutting through the tense silence. Jack jumped in his seat. "Oh, come on, what now?" The AI's voice spoke. "Warning. Incoming transmission. Unknown ships detected. Bounty alert activated. Jack and Lyra exchanged glances. Bounty alert. Jack repeated. Lyra moved fast. She pressed a few buttons, bringing up the holographic screen. The ship's sensors displayed 3 heavily armed fighters approaching fast. A bright red symbol flashed next to their names. TAR GT, LORAVALTH, dead or alive. Reward, 500,000 Turides. Jack choked on air. 500,000 credits. Lyra's eyes darkened. They know I'm awake. Jack turned pale. They know we're awake. The first battle. Lyra moved without hesitation, pushing Jack out of the pilot's seat. I'm taking control, she snapped. Jack stumbled back. Wait, I'm the captain. Lyra shot him a deadly glare. Jack sighed. Fine, just don't crash our ship. Lyra's fingers danced over the controls, and the ship lurched forward, speeding away from the attackers. Jack grabbed onto the nearest railing as the G-force slammed into him. Hold on, Lyra shouted. The enemy ships fired plasma cannons, bright red blasts slicing through space. Lyra rolled the ship hard to the right, barely avoiding impact. Jack's stomach flipped. Could you warn me before you do that? Lyra ignored him. She brought up the ship's weapons system. Armament online. Targeting system engage. Jack leaned over her shoulder. But you do know how to fire the guns, right? Lyra shot him a smirk. Watch and learn, human. With a flick of her wrist, the ship's laser cannons roared to life. Bright blue energy bolts tore through space, hitting one of the enemy fighters. The ship exploded in a fiery blast. Jack's eyes widened. Whoa. The second enemy ship swung behind them, locking onto their position. Missiles incoming. Lyra gritted her teeth. Not today. She flipped the ship upside down, making Jack yell as he floated out of his seat for a second before slamming back down. She fired again. Direct hit. The second fighter spiraled out of control and crashed into an asteroid. Jack panted. Okay, that was insane. But there's still one left. Before Lyra could fire, the third ship suddenly broke off its attack. Jack frowned. Why is it leaving? Lyra's expression turned grim. They weren't trying to kill me, she said slowly. They were testing us. Jack's stomach twisted. Testing us for what? Lyra's golden eyes met his. To see if we're worth sending the real hunters after. Jack's heart sank. This wasn't over. Not even close. And now, they were officially on the run. The chase begins, wanted across the galaxy. Jack Carter had officially gone from zero to galactic fugitive in under an hour. Just this morning, he was a nobody, a mechanic who barely had enough credits to buy a cup of coffee. Now, he was piloting a stolen kind of spaceship, traveling with an angry alien warrior, and had a bounty on his head. And worse, the people after them weren't just bounty hunters. They were professionals. Jack stood behind Lyra in the cockpit, staring at the radar screen. The last fighter had retreated, but something about it made his gut twist. They weren't trying to kill us, Lyra said, her golden eyes fixed on the screen. They were scanning our ship, sending data back to whoever placed that bounty. Jack ran a hand through his messy brown hair. So what you're saying is, we're completely screwed. Lyra gave him a flat look. Yes. Jack sighed. Great. Just making sure I understood. The ship AI chimed in. ALERT. Incoming transmission. High priority encrypted message detected. Jack and Lyra exchanged a glance. Should we answer? Jack asked. Lyra frowned. If it's an ambush, they already know where we are. Might as well see who wants us dead. Jack hesitated, then pressed the screen. A holographic figure appeared, a tall, reptilian alien with dark green scales and 6 glowing red eyes. He wore a high-collared black robe, and his face was unreadable. Captain Carter, The alien's voice was deep, smooth, and deadly. "I congratulate you on your unexpected luck. Owning that ship makes you a very wealthy man, but it also makes you a very dead one." Jack gulped. "Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Who are you?" The alien's thin lips curled. "I am Commander Vortos of the Crimson Syndicate, and that ship you now pilot belonged to the Veltheran Royal Fleet. You have something that is not yours, and the contract on your head just increased to 1,000,000 credits." Jack's mouth went dry. Lyra's fists clenched. "That contract is on me, not him." Vortos smirked. "Oh, my dear warrior princess, you are mistaken. The bounty is now for both of you. The Syndicate does not tolerate loose ends." Jack felt cold. 1,000,000 credits. That was enough to make every bounty hunter, pirate, and mercenary in the galaxy hunt them down like animals. "We have to run," Jack muttered under his breath. Lyra seemed unfazed. She stepped forward, her golden eyes burning. "You made a mistake, Vortos," she said coldly. "If you know who I am, then you also know I don't go down easily." Vortos chuckled. "Of course, but you forget. I'm not the one hunting you." Before Jack could ask what he meant, the hologram disappeared, and the ship's alarms screamed to life. "Warning! Multiple ships inbound. Hostile lock detected." Jack's stomach dropped as the radar exploded with red dots. Dozens of ships, bounty hunters, mercenaries, and syndicate enforcers were closing in. The Great Escape. Lyra didn't hesitate. "Strap in, human." Jack barely had time to throw himself into the co-pilot's seat before Lyra hit the thrusters at full power. The GX-9000 roared to life, rocketing forward at impossible speeds. Jack felt himself slam against his seat, the G-force nearly crushing him. Oh hell. A barrage of plasma fire tore through space behind them. Explosions flared in the void as enemy ships opened fire. Lyra rolled the ship hard to the right, dodging incoming blasts. Jack's vision blurred. "Are we even gonna make it out of here?" Lyra gritted her teeth. "This ship has top-tier stealth tech. If I can activate the cloaking field, we might shake them off." Jack frantically searched the controls. "Where is it?" Lyra cursed. "They must have disabled it when they transferred ownership." Jack slammed his fist on the console. "Are you serious? Who the hell sells a ship without turning the stealth mode back on?" Another explosion rocked the ship. A bounty hunter cruiser was closing in, launching heat-seeking missiles. Jack saw them locking on through the rear cameras. "Lyra, we got incoming." Lyra yanked the ship downward, diving toward the asteroid belt below. "Entering hazardous zone. Astra Rift Field," the AI warned. Jack barely had time to read the data flashing across the screen. The Astra Rift Field was a nightmare zone, a graveyard of destroyed ships, filled with unstable energy storms and deadly debris. "Are you insane?" Jack shouted. Lyra's lips curled. "Do you want to die now, or gamble on making it through?" Jack groaned. "I hate my life." Lyra punched the thrusters, diving into the chaos. The asteroid belt was alive. Electric storms arsed between massive floating rocks, and the wreckage of old ships drifted aimlessly, some still half-powered, flickering with dying lights. Jack grabbed the controls, trying to stabilize their course. Behind them, the bounty hunters hesitated. Only a few dared to follow. One mercenary ship wasn't so lucky. It swerved too hard, colliding with a massive asteroid. A shockwave from the impact sent debris flying. Jack watched the radar. "Okay, that took out a few, but we still got 6 on our tail." Lyra's eyes flickered. Time to change that. She suddenly cut the engines. The ship went silent. Jack panicked. "What are you doing?" "They're still behind us." Lyra smirked. "Wait for it." Jack's stomach twisted as they drifted past a massive, unstable energy storm. The remaining bounty hunters rushed forward, chasing after them, but they were too close. The storm's energy ignited. A violent explosion erupted behind them, engulfing 3 of the enemy ships. Jack's jaw dropped. "Did you just?" Lyra smirked. "Tactical flying." Jack exhaled, hands trembling. "Remind me never to piss you off." Only 3 enemy ships remained. But now, Jack had an idea. "Lyra, you said the stealth system is locked because I'm the new owner, right?" She nodded. Jack grabbed the manual override panel, yanking it open. "Then I just have to fix it." "Under fire." Lyra snapped. "Unless you have a better idea." Lyra cursed but kept flying. Jack frantically rewired the stealth controls, sparks flying as he worked. Come on, come on. A final enemy fighter locked onto them. Missile launch detected. Jack connected the final wire. The screen flickered to life. Stealth mode activated. The GX-9000 vanished just as the missile struck. The explosion ripped through empty space. Jack and Lyra vanished from the radar. Silence filled the cockpit. The bounty hunters searched for them. Then, one by one, they left. Jack fell back in his seat, breathing hard. "We made it," he whispered. Lyra exhaled. For now. Jack swallowed. They had escaped. But the real hunt had only just begun. Learning to fly. Learning to trust. Jack Carter was many things. A mechanic, an unlucky lottery winner, and a guy who preferred to stay out of trouble. Now, thanks to a rigged space lottery, he was a fugitive. A 1 million credit bounty hung over his head. Every bounty hunter, mercenary, and pirate in the galaxy wanted to cash in. And his only ally, a warrior princess who wanted to kill him just hours ago. The GX-9000 drifted through the void, hidden within the vast, cold expanse of space. The stealth field hummed softly, keeping them cloaked from enemy scanners. After barely escaping the Astra Rift field alive, they were safe, for now. But Jack knew the peace wouldn't last. A silent war in the cockpit. Jack sat in the co-pilot's seat, arms crossed, watching Lyra work the controls. She hadn't spoken to him in 10 minutes. She moved like she owned the ship, her fingers gliding over the holographic controls, her golden eyes locked onto the star charts. She was searching for their next move. Jack cleared his throat. "So, that was fun, huh?" Lyra ignored him. He sighed. "Look, I get it. You think this ship should be yours. But I didn't steal it. I won it. Fair and square." Lyra's jaw tightened. Nothing in the galaxy is fair and square. Human. Jack rubbed his temples. "You know, for someone who legally counts as my bonded mate, you're not very friendly." Lyra's golden eyes flashed dangerously. "I am not your mate." Jack smirked. "Hey, I didn't make the rules. Galactic law says you're stuck with me." Lyra's hands gripped the controls tighter. Jack swore he could hear the metal creak. He leaned back in his chair, watching the star map on the screen. "All right, Princess, since we're stuck together, we need a plan. Where are we going?" Lyra took a deep breath, calming herself. "We need resources, weapons, credits, allies." Jack arched an eyebrow. "You got any of those lying around?" Lyra hesitated. "I used to." Jack caught the sadness in her voice, but she quickly masked it. She brought up a holographic image of a massive, neon-lit station floating in deep space. "This is Zoran 5, a free trade station, ruled by crime syndicates. No government, no laws. If we need to disappear, that's where we go." Jack frowned. "A space station run by criminals. Sounds safe." Lyra ignored his sarcasm. "It's the best place to gather intel. If I was betrayed, someone on Zoran 5 will know why." Jack leaned forward. "And what about the whole every bounty hunter wants to kill us thing?" Lyra smirked. "Then we don't let them know who we are." Jack groaned. "I hate this plan already." Flying lessons from a warrior princess. They had a long journey ahead. Zoran 5 was 2 jumps away, through an asteroid-infested system called the Dusk Expanse. Jack leaned back in his seat, All right, wake me up when we get there. Lyra kicked his chair, making him jolt upright. You're not sleeping, she said firmly. You need to learn how to fly. Jack blinked. Excuse me. Lyra gestured at the controls. You're the captain of this ship. You should know how to pilot it. Jack scoffed. I'm a mechanic, not a pilot. Lyra crossed her arms. And yet, you sit in the captain's chair. Jack groaned. Fine. But if we crash, I'm blaming you. Lyra gave him a knowing smirk. If we crash, we'll both be dead. Jack sighed and placed his hands on the controls. All right, what do I do? Lyra leaned over, placing her hand on the console. Jack caught a faint scent, something metallic, but also strangely sweet, like electric currents mixed with starlight. Her golden eyes met his. First rule, don't think. Feel the ship, let it become part of you. Jack raised an eyebrow. That sounds like some jitty nonsense. Lyra rolled her eyes. Just do it, human. Jack exhaled and gently nudged the thrusters. The ship responded immediately, tilting upward. Lyra nodded. Good. Now, banking left. Steady. Jack followed her instructions, his hands adjusting the controls. The ship curved smoothly, gliding through the void. Lyra watched him closely. You're not terrible, she admitted. Jack grinned. I'll take that as a compliment. Lyra smirked. Don't. Trust is a dangerous thing. After an hour of practice, Jack was starting to get the hang of it. He wasn't an expert pilot yet, but he could at least fly without crashing into an asteroid. Lyra leaned back, arms crossed. Not bad. You might actually survive a dogfight. Jack raised an eyebrow. You planning on throwing me into one? Lyra's face darkened. We don't have a choice. The people hunting us won't stop. Jack exhaled. Yeah, I figured. A heavy silence settled between them. Jack glanced at Lyra. For the first time, she didn't look like a battle-hardened warrior. She looked tired, worn down. You've been fighting for a long time, haven't you? He asked softly. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. My whole life. Jack studied her. And now you're alone. Lyra's gaze flickered. I had a family once. A kingdom. A fleet. But power attracts betrayal. I trusted the wrong people. Now, my name is nothing but a contract for bounty hunters. Jack looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't just some warrior. She was a survivor. And despite everything, despite losing her home, her ship, and her name, she was still standing. Jack nodded slowly. Well, for what it's worth, you're not alone now. Lyra turned to him, her golden eyes unreadable. For a moment, she seemed like she wanted to say something. But instead, she looked away. Get some rest, Jack, she said quietly. Jack blinked. Wait, now I can sleep. Lyra smirked. You learned to fly. That's enough for today. Jack chuckled, shaking his head. You're impossible. As he walked toward the crew quarters, he glanced back at Lyra. She was staring out into space, deep in thought. For the first time, Jack felt something strange. Not fear, not frustration, but trust. He wasn't sure if Lyra felt the same, but something told him this was the beginning of something big. The trap at the Galactic Bazaar. Jack Carter had always heard stories about Zoran 5, the infamous space station where laws meant nothing and credits ruled everything. It was a place where you could buy a new identity, sell a stolen warship, or disappear forever. For the right price. Now, he and Lyra were heading straight into it. Jack wasn't thrilled about the plan. But they had no choice. They needed supplies, information, and maybe an ally. More importantly, they needed a way to survive with a 1 million credit bounty hanging over their heads. As they exited hyperspace, Zoran 5 loomed ahead, a massive spinning metal city, floating in deep space. Neon lights flickered across its dark hull, and hundreds of ships, from sleek corporate cruisers to rusty pirate freighters, hovered around it like flies. Jack exhaled. This place looks welcoming. Lyra smirked. If by welcoming you mean a den of criminals who will stab you for pocket change, then yes, very welcoming. Jack groaned. Great. Let's go make some new friends. Disguises and deception. Before docking, Lyra had insisted they change their appearance. Jack now wore a worn-out brown jacket with a hood, his usual scruffy look covered by a visor mask. Lyra had swapped her warrior armor for a sleek black cloak, hiding her distinct silver hair and golden eyes. All right, Jack said, adjusting his visor. We look like two regular nobodies. No way anyone recognizes us. Lyra arched an eyebrow. You're still standing like a clueless human tourist. Jack straightened his posture. Better. Lyra sighed. You'll still get robbed within 5 minutes. Jack grinned. That's what you're here for, right? Lyra rolled her eyes but didn't argue. The airlock hissed open, and they stepped into Zoran V's main market district. The place was alive with chaos. Bright holographic signs flickered above narrow walkways, advertising everything from illegal weapons to genetically modified pets. Merchants yelled over each other in a dozen different alien languages. The smell of cooked meat, engine oil, and something distinctly fishy filled the air. Jack felt like he had stepped into another world. Lyra, however, walked through the crowd with quiet confidence, her eyes scanning every shadow. Jack kept close, trying not to look too much like an easy target. A dangerous offer. Their first stop was a weapons dealer, a grumpy-looking four-armed alien with cybernetic eyes. Jack placed a small bag of credits on the table. We need blasters, something small but powerful. The dealer snorted. Cheap guns break easy. You want something good, you pay real credits. Jack sighed. This is all we've got. The dealer glanced at Lyra, then leaned in. Tell you what, I know someone who might pay a lot for a Velthoran warrior. Jack froze. Lyra's hand moved to her hidden blade. The dealer grinned. Relax. I ain't gonna turn you in. But there's a bounty hunter in the upper district looking for info. Might be worth checking out. Jack frowned. Why would we walk toward the people hunting us? The dealer shrugged. Because this one ain't just after the money. He's looking for something else. Lyra exchanged a look with Jack. This could be a trap or a lead. Where is he? Lyra asked. The dealer grinned. Level 12, Bazaar Lounge. Jack exhaled. I hate this plan already. Into the trap. The Bazaar Lounge was a high-end bar floating inside a suspended gravity dome, where the wealthy criminals of Zoran 5 gathered to discuss illegal deals in luxury. Jack and Lyra entered cautiously. The air smelled of expensive alien liquor and cigar smoke. Suspicious-looking individuals sat in private booths, whispering over holographic contracts. At the far end of the room sat the bounty hunter. He was human, which surprised Jack. Most bounty hunters were alien mercenaries, but this guy, he had the look of an ex-soldier, tall, lean, with cybernetic implants running down his arms and neck. A long-range plasma rifle was strapped to his back. He didn't react when Jack and Lyra approached, but when Lyra pulled back her hood slightly, his cold blue eyes locked onto her. So, he said, his voice rough and tired. You're still alive, Velthoran. Jack tensed. You two know each other. Lyra's expression darkened. I know of him. The bounty hunter leaned back. Name's Kane Voss. I used to hunt your kind, back when the Velthoran Empire was still standing. Jack's stomach twisted. Oh, great. So this was a terrible idea. Kane smirked. Relax, kid. If I wanted the bounty, you'd already be dead. Lyra crossed her arms. Then why are you here? Kane exhaled. Because I know the truth about what happened to your empire. Jack and Lyra stiffened. Kane leaned forward. Your own people betrayed you, Velthoran. And the bounty on your head, it didn't come from some random mercenary guild. It came from inside your own royal council. Lyra's hands clenched. You're lying. Kane shook his head. Your war fleet was never lost. Your own general sold you out. And now, they want to make sure you never come back. Silence. Jack looked at Lyra. Her face was stone cold, but he could see the flicker of pain and anger in her eyes. Finally, she spoke. Why are you telling me this? Kane sighed. Because I don't work for them anymore. And because I know what it's like to be hunted. Jack frowned. So what do you want from us? Kane smirked. Nothing. Just giving you the truth, for free. Jack narrowed his eyes. And you expect us to believe that? Kane chuckled. Believe what you want, but if you're smart, you'll leave Zoran 5 now. Because those bounty hunters, they're already coming. Jack's blood turned to ice. Warning. Hostile shitpeas DTTTED. Jack's visor flashed red alerts. The station's security scanners had picked them up. Lyra's golden eyes flashed with fury. They set a trap. Kane stood up, tossing a small data chip onto the table. That chip has everything you need. Coordinates, names, betrayal records. If you want to take back your empire, it starts there. Jack grabbed the chip. And what about you? Kane grinned. I'll cover your exit. You too. Run like hell. The doors slammed open. Armed bounty hunters flooded in. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. The chase was on. Again. The final battle. Jack's human spirit. Jack Carter had been running all his life. Running from responsibility. Running from bad luck. And now running from a 1 million credit bounty that had every mercenary in the galaxy on his tail. But as he raced through the winding corridors of Zoran 5, Lyra's hand gripped tightly in his. Something inside him snapped. He was done running. This wasn't just about escaping anymore. It was about fighting back. The deadly chase. Behind them, bounty hunters stormed through the bizarre lounge, weapons drawn. The neon lights of Zoran 5 flickered as alarms blared, warning all nearby citizens to clear the area. Jack and Lyra dodged through the crowded walkways, pushing past alien merchants and shady traders. Where's Kane? Jack shouted over the chaos. Lyra glanced back. He's covering us. We need to get to the docking bay. Now. Jack cursed under his breath. Great. More running. Lyra smirked despite the danger. You're getting good at it. Jack rolled his eyes. Not something I want on my resume. The first plasma bolt barely missed them, searing a hole through a nearby market stall. A bulky cyborg bounty hunter raised his blaster arm. There they are. 1 million credits, boys. Let's get paid. More bounty hunters poured into the marketplace. Aliens, cyborgs, and even a few human mercenaries. Jack yanked Lyra behind cover, pressing against a metal wall. Any bright ideas? Lyra pulled out a small device from her belt, a compact pulse grenade. Jack's eyes widened. You just carry grenades around. Lyra grinned. Of course. She tossed it over the stall. The device beeped twice before detonating. A powerful shockwave rippled outward, frying electronic sensors and knocking bounty hunters off their feet. Jack took the chance to sprint toward the upper levels, dragging Lyra with him. We need to find another way out. Jack gasped, his lungs burning. Lyra scanned the area, her golden eyes sharp. The station's anti-air turrets are online. If we take off now, we'll be shot down before we reach orbit. Jack's stomach twisted. So what you're saying is, we're still screwed. Lyra smirked. Not necessarily. She pulled up her wrist interface, tapping rapidly. Lyra, I don't think now's the time to check your emails. Jack snapped. Trust me, she muttered. A second later, a massive explosion rocked the station. The security turrets outside the docking bay erupted in fire, their automated defenses disabled. Jack blinked. What the hell did you do? Lyra smirked. Sent a little virus to their defense grid. We have 5 minutes before they reboot. Jack grinned. I knew having a tech-savvy space warrior was a good idea. Lyra smirked. Less talking, more running. Standoff at the docking bay. They'd burst into the docking bay, spotting their ship, the GX-9000, waiting like a loyal beast ready to take flight. Jack exhaled. Almost there. Then he froze. Standing between them and the ship were a dozen armed bounty hunters, but leading them was a figure that made Jack's blood run cold. Commander Vortos. The six-eyed reptilian warlord stood tall, his sleek black armor reflecting the neon glow of the station. A cruel smirk played across his lips as he raised a massive plasma rifle, aimed directly at Jack's head. "Leaving so soon, Captain Carter," Vortos mocked. "You've caused quite a mess. The Syndicate does not like messes." Jack swallowed hard. "Well, I've never been good at cleaning up." Vortos chuckled. "Oh, don't worry. We'll clean up just fine after we collect your corpse." He gestured to his men. "Kill them." Jack barely had time to react. Lyra moved first. With blinding speed, she drew her hidden blade, slicing through the air like lightning. She took out the first two bounty hunters before they even pulled their triggers. Jack, now somewhat decent at shooting, grabbed his blaster and fired at the nearest mercenary. The fight erupted into pure chaos. Blaster fire lit up the hangar, smoke filling the air. Lyra moved like a shadow, ducking, weaving, and cutting through enemies with precision. Jack wasn't as graceful, but he was resourceful. He grabbed a nearby cargo drone, reprogramming it to slam into the enemy line, knocking 3 mercenaries off their feet. "Nice move, Captain," Lyra shouted. Jack smirked. "Told you I was useful." But then, Vortos stepped forward. He drew an energy sword, its red glow illuminating his scaled face. Jack barely had time to dodge as Vortos swung, the blade slicing through the air where Jack's head had been seconds before. Jack rolled, panting. Okay. Maybe a note he cut out for sword fights. Lyra lunged at Vortos, her blade clashing against his. Sparks flew as they battled, their movements fast and brutal. Vortos smirked. "Ah, Veltharan steel, a warrior's weapon." He twisted, knocking Lyra off balance. She stumbled, and in that second, Vortos raised his blade to strike. Jack didn't think. He acted. He grabbed a cargo tether cable from the floor and whipped it forward, wrapping it around Vortos' arm. The warlord snarled. "What?" Jack pulled with all his strength, yanking Vortos off his feet. The warlord hit the ground hard, momentarily stunned. Jack grinned. "Gotcha, lizard boy." Lyra didn't waste time. She slammed her knee into Vortos' chest, pinning him down. "This is for my people." With one swift motion, she drove her blade through his shoulder, making him roar in pain. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand. "We gotta go. Now." She hesitated for half a second, then nodded. They rushed aboard the GX-9000, sealing the hatch behind them. Jack jumped into the pilot's seat, heart racing, as bounty hunters rushed toward the ship, weapons blazing. "Hold on," Jack yelled. He punched the thrusters. The GX-9000 shot into space, escaping just as the docking bay exploded behind them. Victory, but at what cost? They drifted in space, breathing heavily, watching Zoran 5 fade into the distance. Jack turned to Lyra. "You okay?" She nodded. "Thanks for the save, Captain." Jack smirked. "Call me that again, and I might start thinking you respect me." Lyra chuckled softly. "Don't push your luck." Jack leaned back, staring at the data chip Kane had given them. "The truth about your betrayal," he muttered. "You ready for this?" Lyra's expression hardened. "I was born ready." Jack exhaled. "Then let's finish this." The GX-9000 vanished into hyperspace, heading toward the final battle. The rise of a new legend. Jack Carter had started this journey as a nobody, a simple mechanic from Earth who got lucky in a lottery. Now he was a wanted man, a fugitive, and the captain of a stolen sort of warship. More importantly, He was the only person standing between Lyra Velthera and the empire that betrayed her, and he wasn't backing down. A dangerous path to revenge. The GX9000 hurtled through hyperspace, its engines humming with energy. Jack sat in the pilot's seat, gripping the controls tighter than usual. Across from him, Lyra stood with her arms crossed, staring at the small data chip Kane Voss had given them. On it was the truth, proof that Lyra's own people had betrayed her. Jack sighed. So, how do we play this? Lyra's golden eyes burned with cold fury. We take back what's mine. Jack frowned. You're talking about going straight to the people who put a bounty on your head. Lyra nodded. Jack exhaled. You're insane. She smirked. You're still here, aren't you? Jack groaned. I hate that you've got a point. Lyra tapped the star map. The coordinates Kane gave us lead to Velthera Prime, the old capital of my people. Jack raised an eyebrow. Wait, you mean your entire species is still out there? Lyra's expression darkened, not as I remember them. The ones in power now. They're the ones who sold me out. Jack nodded. Then I guess we're paying them a visit. Lyra's smirk faded. Jack, this won't be like Zoran 5. If we go there, we either win or die. Jack grinned. Then let's make sure we win. With that, he punched the hyperdrive, sending them straight into the lion's den. The Empire's response. They exited hyperspace over Velthera Prime, and immediately knew they were in trouble. A fleet of warships hovered above the planet, their sleek black hulls reflecting the glow of the twin suns. Jack whistled. Well, that's a welcome party if I've ever seen one. Lyra's jaw tightened. They were expecting us. A cold voice crackled over the comms. This is Lord Kell of the Veltheran High Council. You are trespassing in sovereign space. Power down your engines and prepare for capture. Jack glanced at Lyra. Kale, friend of yours. Lyra's fingers curled into fists. He was my father's most trusted general. Now, he's a traitor. Jack sighed. Of course he is. The Veltheran fleet's cannons began charging. Jack pushed the thrusters, sending them into a wild evasive maneuver. All right, time for Plan B. Lyra arched an eyebrow. We had a Plan A. Jack grinned. Not really. The first volley of plasma fire streaked toward them. Jack twisted the ship, diving through the fleet, dodging enemy fire by mere inches. Hang on, he yelled as he barrel-rolled through the chaos. Lyra clenched her jaw. Get us planet-side. We need to take this fight to the ground. Jack dodged another round of fire. Oh sure, let me just park in the middle of enemy territory. No problem. Lyra smirked. I knew you'd understand. Jack groaned. I hate this plan already. With a sharp dive, the GX9000 broke through the atmosphere, racing toward the Veltheran capital. The duel for the throne. They landed in the ruins of the old Veltheran palace, once a place of power, now abandoned and overgrown. Jack stepped out, blaster in hand. So what now? Lyra drew her twin plasma blades. Now, I challenge Kell to the Veltheran honor duel. Jack blinked. The what now? Lyra's golden eyes burned. He stole my birthright. He rules with fear, but under Veltheran law, if I defeat him in single combat, the throne is mine. Jack whistled. That's hardcore. Lyra smirked. That's my culture. They marched toward the central palace, where Lord Kale stood, waiting. Kale was tall and imposing, his silver armor gleaming under the harsh sun. His golden eyes narrowed as Lyra approached. So, he sneered, the lost princess returns. Lyra drew her blades, the blue plasma humming. I challenge you. Kale laughed. You think a relic like you can stand against me? Lyra smirked. I don't think. I know. The duel began. Kale lunged forward, his energy spear crackling with dark energy. Lyra twisted, blocking his strike with her twin blades. Sparks flew as they clashed, each strike shaking the ground beneath them. Jack stood at the edge of the battle, heart pounding. He wanted to help, but this was Lyra's fight. She had to do this alone. Cale was strong, but Lyra was faster. She ducked under a wild swing, slicing deep into his shoulder. Cale roared in pain, staggering back. Lyra didn't hesitate. She disarmed him with a brutal kick, sending his spear flying. Cale fell to his knees, breathing hard. His golden eyes burned with hatred and disbelief. "You've lost," Lyra said coldly. "Surrender." Cale spat blood. "Never." Jack stepped forward, blaster aimed. "Yeah, see, that's the wrong answer." Cale growled. "You think you can just." Lyra's blade pressed against his throat. "Choose your next words carefully," she warned. Silence. Then, slowly, Cale bowed his head in defeat. The Veltheran soldiers watching the fight dropped their weapons, acknowledging Lyra's victory. Jack exhaled. "Ha! That actually worked." Lyra turned to the soldiers. "You serve the throne. I am the rightful heir. Will you follow me?" The soldiers knelt. Jack grinned. "I think that's a yes." Lyra turned to Jack. For the first time, she looked at peace. "We did it," she whispered. Jack smirked. "You did it. I just kept us alive long enough to get here." Lyra rolled her eyes. "Same thing." Jack laughed. "So what now, Your Majesty?" Lyra gave him a look. "You still have a ship to captain, and an empire to help rebuild." Jack blinked. "Wait, are you saying?" Lyra smirked. "Congratulations, Captain Carter. You're now officially my first commander." Jack groaned. "I knew this wasn't over." Lyra laughed. "Welcome to the real adventure." Jack sighed. "I need a drink." The GX9000 rose into the skies, carrying them toward their next great challenge. Because this was only the beginning.